From UBN Studios, you're listening to Unsugarcoated with Aalia, bringing you interviews with public figures and inspirational people speaking on self-improvement with empowering themes. And I'm your host, Aalia Lanius. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of your favorite social good talk show. We are so excited to continue bringing you the conversation on emotional intelligence, how you can improve that in your life, why you should, and other people like our amazing guests so far. We've had Larry Namer, we've had B. Earl, we had Anthony Francisco, we just continue, right? And now we have another incredible guest for you. And we're going to talk about actually a crucial topic that is all too often overlooked, the unique challenges women face in the tech industry. The fact is, women are underrepresented, underpaid, and often subjected to a toxic work environment. And while we need to address these systemic issues, we also need to focus on something else: emotional intelligence. The tech industry is notoriously male-dominated, and it can be tough for women to navigate. It's not just about the technical skills, it's also about communication, collaboration, and dealing with difficult personalities. Women in tech face challenges that are different from their male counterparts, and it's time that we take those issues on. We're thrilled to have a very special guest today who has been working tirelessly to pave the way for women in tech. She's going to share her insights and experiences about the importance of emotional intelligence and how it can help women overcome the unique challenges they are currently facing in the tech industry. So if you're a woman in tech, or if you're simply passionate about this critical topic, then you won't want to miss today's episode. Get ready to meet a true disruptor, entrepreneur, and mom who is making waves in the tech industry. Genevieve Thiers is a speaker, investor, and co-executive producer of the political tech training program Run. Genevieve's first company, SitterCity.com, revolutionized caregiving services by bringing them online and now boasts millions of users. But she's not just focused on her own success. Genevieve has invested in 15 women tech CEOs and donated to over 50 female political candidates in the last 3 years alone. Genevieve is also the founder of the New Founders Conference that brought over 2,000 major political leaders to Chicago. Her latest book, #TechYourself, is the first ever political tech playbook for candidates running for office. She's trained over 1,000 women on how to use tech in their campaign and is one of the foremost thinkers in tech and politics in the nation. As a mother of twins, she's always on the go and can't stand flip phones. It's an honor to have such an innovative and inspiring woman on the show today. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Ms. Genevieve Thiers.
Oh, thank you for having me. I can see that you watched my hilarious video on my website. I sound very aggressive in that video. We were actually pitching Lifetime TV for women. And I was like, and I don't like flip phones. I remember thinking, oh no.
But I love it. I love it.
The answer is you. The answer is you.
I think the only thing good about a flip phone is that they don't butt dial everyone, right?
Oh, a lot of political candidates, especially women, somehow end up in the I don't have an iPhone phase. And I'm like, okay, we have to have the dog. We're going to walk together through what we're going to do here. Technology is good. So,
you are in technology. Oh, and thank you so much. I know you're joining us via Zoom from Chicago. You're about to be heading off to Paris. So thanks for taking a moment to jump in with us and just ask a few questions and have the opportunity to hear your perspective. First of all, can you tell us a bit about your journey as an entrepreneur and how you got involved in the tech industry?
It was wild. I am a female entrepreneur, and we have to go through, as your podcast shows, so much compared to the guys. And my journey is maybe even more hilarious than some because of what I was building. So my first company was called SitterCity.com, which I launched straight out of college in 2001. I was the oldest of 7 kids. My mother went crazy trying to raise 7 kids and 2 sets of twins. And so, I was always a babysitter. I was actually trained in music. I was always babysitting so I could afford to be in a play or sing in a musical, right? And I was sitting there wondering what I was going to do with my life 2 days before graduation. And I saw this 9 months pregnant mother climbing 200 steps, posting flyers for a sitter. And I thought, oh my God, I took the flyers from her, posted them for her. And I remember thinking, I was posting it next to an elevator. And I was thinking, why isn't there a Match.com for parents and caregivers? And so, that's what SitterCity became. 20 years later, we raised $70 million. We served
Incredible.
10 million users, thousands of companies, and we ended up selling it to Bright Horizons in 2020. And it was one of those, should have been a movie, situations because for years, for 6 years in the beginning, no one would fund it. They just said, my wife handles that. And they sent me out of the room. It was awful.
Wow. I love that you are a representative of just the right idea, the right time, and that you really were able to run. And I love that you share that some people didn't believe in it. And I think that that's so powerful when you say, no, I do have something of value, and look at what it turned into. I mean, in those moments of rejection, what fueled you to continue moving forward?
I remember I was talking to a lot of old white men when I was in these rooms. And I remember I kept thinking, they'd be like, my wife handles that, or it's a babysitter's club, like it was so cute, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I remembered thinking, get your wife in here. You are an idiot. Like, I'm sorry to be so blunt, but that was exactly what went through my head. This was $1 billion industry hiding in plain sight. I was sitting in these cars as the moms would drive me home at night, and I'm talking to them and they're like, yes, add this feature, add that feature. And I knew that this would be like the new black the minute I launched it. So I just went ahead and built it anyway. The entire time I was hearing, oh, I'm sorry, doesn't sound like a big industry, or I don't think this will work, from these men. It was a weird dichotomy. It took us until 2006 to finally do an A round. And, we probably could have gotten one in 2005 or even '04, but I remember that I was so angry. It took so long to get funding at all that by the time it came along, and these were great dads, they were very savvy. Of course, it was always men. The board ended up being me and 7 white men, but it was just like, at least these dads finally came along and they got it. But by the time they came along, I was so angry that it was like this feminist, train, that I'd started. And it's always continued from there to be a kind of a feminist movement, really, right, more than a company.
I love that you've brought up this. I remember when I was younger, and look, I trademarked the word unsugarcoated for a reason, I think even being an authentic in my own journey of understanding as a woman what feminism means. You're kind of, if you're brought up in a traditional or a more conservative environment, it's like feminism means you want to run around without a bra and you want to like do all these things. And no, I mean, feminism is just saying I have the same right to things as you do. Can you explain why you think emotional intelligence is important, particularly for women in technology?
I used emotional intelligence without even thinking about it because it's the most obvious thing to use, right? I mean, I would have a gut that if I didn't do this, moms wouldn't trust me and they wouldn't buy. It became very simple. But, I would say I fell into a lot of the same traps as everyone else. Like, for the first 6 years of going out and launching Sitter City, I was trying to position it right. So I positioned myself as the Mary Poppins. I was perfect. I sang, I wouldn't kill your kids, so you should hire a sitter.
Right.
I wasn't the mom back then. So I remembered I was trying to position perfectly. And for about the first 6-7 years, feminism was a dirty word. You didn't say it. You were angry, right? If you said it, or you were, it did have that vibe of like, And I remember I said, oh, well, not a feminist, but blah, in one talk that I was giving. And a woman in the back, I'll never forget her. Her name was Jean. She was this incredible advocate for women in Chicago that came to everything. She was older. She was generally very quiet. And she screamed with tears in her eyes, why not? From the back of the audience. And I thought, oh, my God, she's right. Oh my God, a lot of my life as a woman in tech has been taking off these insane, stupid veils that are thrown over us as women that we're supposed to carry. Why on earth can't we call ourselves a feminist? And the moment she did that, it was like my eyes opened and I thought, no, I am a feminist. I'm I'm a very angry feminist. And then later, I think this was all completely justified when, our friend, who ran for office in 2016, and everything went absolutely insane. I mean, his whole angry woman comments led me to think, oh, I'm so happy I got, schooled on this 4 years earlier, sure, right? And I was at that point a very angry, loud feminist. But, at that point, I saw a whole bunch of other women turn around and become loud, angry feminists. And I'm just furious that it was schooled out of us the way it was right at the beginning. All these Agreed. Things, my eyes open every day, right? With new crap that's been put on us. How dare they?
I know you have to go soon and we have limited time and I'm probably going to have you back on again. And if you're ever in LA, we're bringing you in person. But like, it's so incredible, the fact that, women continue to face challenges, right? Look, to be candid, one of the reasons women have struggled in the workplace is because of the excuse from corporate HR, well, we're not going to pay you as much because, hey, you could get pregnant and have a family. You're worth less. This guy over here can work 16 hours. And what's going to happen when you got to go pick up your kid because they have a fever and things like that? I very much champion, especially with the changes. Okay, this is how I'm going to say it. With the changes in laws that protect women's access to health care and make choices for themselves. I believe companies are going to have to create more of a culture that supports women who are, literally going to be forced to have children, whether they want them or not, right? Like that's what we saw happen in the 80s. We finally got to a point where women started to have choices, starting to have better economic opportunities. Bam, getting stuck.
Look
right,
at us now.
Limited,
yeah,
right?
Every day I think about it, every day. And it's so horrible. This country hates women. It hates mothers. We are not going to get anywhere until we have more moms in office and they're fighting for stuff that actually matters. And I just hope at some point in my lifetime, I see us approaching even a road to parity, because we're so laughably far away.
Right.
And I face this every single day, like the fact that, we are shunted into these different pathways and tech and people look at us differently. I'm now in Web3. I'm actually building, it's kind of stealth mode, but we're building like an entertainment play in Web3. You wouldn't believe the conferences I'm at. It's all white men in hoodies. I just went to one the other day where there was a line of 40 men out one restroom and 2 women in the ladies. But it was like one of those things where I was like, this is happening again. Why does it keep happening? And the reason why is that we're busy raising the kids, doing the dishes, doing every crap thing that everyone else has decided that they're going to just, you're better at it, and thump on us.
Right.
And meanwhile, everyone else is sitting, using their time to go out and, actually do the industry that women would be 3 times better at if we could just get the sweeping off our plate. 100%. I get angry and I'm very vocal about it now, but I don't know the answer.
Going to what we shared in our introduction of you, you have funded women-led technologies. And I think that's so important because I've had conversations with women who, just to what you said earlier, I knew a female VC, she went into a VC meeting. She had her assistant with her and they sit down and the guy is just talking to the assistant. And he has no recognition that she is actually the person he should be addressed. He should be, this guy should be addressing.
That happens all the time.
So you've taken action. Tell me, you've invested in a number of women-led technology companies. Can you tell us about some of the most promising startups you've come across and what drew you to those particular companies?
I have known in my life so many talented women. If anything, in the last few years, I'm just frustrated because I saw a whole bunch more excited companies come by that I couldn't fund. But for the women that I do fund, I generally just see them on something really smart that often a guy won't get. It might be something around being a mother in employment, or it might even be something where your nails dry faster if you do X. I mean, nobody understands how unbelievably on as problem solvers we need to be as women. I know guys that are proud of solving 3 problems in a week. I solve 50 in a morning, right? It's just solve one little problem for me. So when these women come along, often they are building something brilliant that maybe a guy wouldn't see. But the other thing is just that I found it's all about amplification. So my own journey with Sitter City was actually quite horrible in some of the latter years, because I built something very effective. It got to a certain point. We'd raised a B round. We'd gotten very, very big. At that point, naturally, a couple of the male investors who, of course, I reminded them of their daughter, et cetera, always tell you, this is a lot. It's a lot, little lady. You should probably go find new leadership or blah. You get these talks, right, from men that think you're emotionally unable to handle things. And it's just horrifying because you happen to be, the same age as everyone going out and building, but you're you're female, right?
Right.
And it's awful. The biggest things I do for the women I funded and that I help is I don't let them put up with that crap. If anyone for 5 minutes tells them that, oh, well, you're too emotionally engaged, I give them the knowledge they need to go back in and punch that person in the face, with a rebuttal that is absolutely, you're watertight. If anyone tries to tell them that, oh, this is around the time you should be looking for new leadership, I arm them up with at least 5 reports that they can walk right back and slam down on someone's desk and say, you know what? These 5 companies had one CEO the whole way through, and these 6 thought it was great to switch it over. And look at them now. They went down the toilet. Yeah. I just think it's a question of having a mentor, having data, and having someone to back you up and amplify you. I never had that. So that's what, and it was a nightmare. And I lived through a lot. So now I do it for all the women that are coming next. So at least they have that. They still have to be like armed and, robed in titanium and, dealing with all this stuff. But I at least am there ready to rant at someone for them in the background.
And I love that you brought up mentorship because, of course, is one of the success principles, that I've learned. And finding a mentor is so important. People will usually look to their peers who have not yet maybe potentially created anything and then expect them to help them get there. Whereas you want to know somebody or be mentored by somebody who has climbed a ladder and has understood some of the challenges, overcome them, and then can help teach you how to do it as well, especially for a particular industry.
Yeah, and mentorship itself gets a bad name. Men like to look at it and they're like, oh, that's fuzzy. Look at that. That's so sugar-coated. Mentorship is at the base. Funding a company, I think it starts there. Fund a company with a woman in it, give her $25K so she can go out and get someone to match it. I think mentorship is answering in, an email at 2 a.m. with a one-liner response that may or may not make sense. Mentorship is going in to fight for a woman in a meeting because she's about to deal with a question barrage. Men like to do this thing called a question barrage where they pound you with questions because, it's kind of like being punched in a schoolyard. But women, we don't do that. We're actually more brutal when we go after each other in grade school, but we're slyer about it. Right?
Yes.
So we don't punch each other in the schoolyard. You might not know what you're getting into. So a mentor goes in and literally sits with you and just doesn't take the crap, so you don't even have to, you can just sit there and watch and learn how it's done. But that's a mentor. A mentor is an active fighter in the army beside you, I think. It's not somebody who goes to dinner with you and gets nails done with you every 4 months. I see guys sneering at the mentor concept. I don't like it because the way that most women I know mentor is we don't have time for it. We're so tired, but it's visceral and it's needed and we do it. And it's not anything a guy would ever have to do for another guy. It's awful. But, on top of everything else, let's carry that load too. Why not,
Agreed. You have been recognized by the Small Business Administration and won numerous awards for your work. Can you tell us about one of your proudest moments in your career thus far?
Sure. I'm actually laughing because when I got the Small Business Award in DC, my parents, who are unbelievable, they were deliberately late because they really didn't like the president at the time. So that actually made me laugh because, it was, my family were really staunch Democrats. So it was really funny that they were like, they took me out to dinner and made a big deal after it. But I remember I was like, where's mom and dad? Like,
do they like him now? Do they like him more now that he's kind of like acknowledged some of his,
Yeah, well, at least it wasn't our 2016, friend. It was, an earlier person they thought they couldn't stand. And then we all realized what can't stand you means.
When, Bush went into, Iraq and the weapons of mass destruction, I was like, and then, you're right. And look, I think that when it comes to Trump, there was this danger, this horrible narrative to anybody who wants to argue this point. I challenge you, go ahead, because this perception of women who were the good women were, good women were women who were beautiful, polite, did what they were told, and obedient Stepford wives. Like the Stepford wife was anything about outside of that was not acceptable to him, and that's a very horrible narrative to have that he was pushing from where he was at. So I agree with you.
Well, everyone that knows me knows I think Trump was a disgusting nightmare. I mean, you can't really be a woman in this country and have fought for anything or had children or believe in fostering, young lives and really think he was fine. I think there were some women that put up and shut up because they were taught they should stick their feet in heels and do that. And, I don't like those women at all. I think they're traitors to their kind. I'm going to be very open about this. Even if I were, though, running something that was absolutely massive, I'd still say this. Sure. I'm just so loud at this point, and I know exactly who I am, and I am so tired. My life is so hard as a working mother, and no one helps us, and we have to help everyone else in the problem that was not made by us. Mm-hmm. And so, until all of us just start to talk about this, it's really hard. And, I would say that I think it's horrifying how we treat women. I think it's even more horrifying that a couple of women decided to eat the Kool-Aid from Trump and are now going to try and pretend that they're pro-women women.
Right.
Like Nikki Haley, for example, is rumored to potentially run coming up. And I think I'm going to just throw up every day she's on the campaign trail because, the amount of facilitating this horrible misogyny that woman did by being part of it, by pushing it forwards, by defending him. I won't forgive her. I don't think any of us should.
Right.
I do think, though, that it would be amazing for this country to have a woman president,
sure,
which we haven't had.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Which is horrifying.
I totally agree. What do you think?
And personally, if Stacey Abrams runs, I'm moving to Georgia to push her along. She's my ideal candidate. I met her. I think she's brilliant. Or Lauren Underwood. I'm really a fan of hers. I've gotten behind her and Lucy McBath and some of the current years. But I actually give quite a lot of money to women in politics too. And I hate that the onus is on us as women to do that. But if we don't, who will?
Right.
We have to support each other.
Speaking to women in politics, how can technology help overcome some of these challenges that they're facing?
Yeah, well, it is true that if you run a technically savvy campaign, you can win hands down over someone else who doesn't really know what they're doing, the flip phone thing, mm-hmm. right? Mm-hmm. So, I was part of a team. This was a really brave team. A couple of years ago, some of the best field operatives in the United States on the Democratic side all pulled together a whole bunch of knowledge that they could have sold for enormous amounts of money. And we made a free guide called Tech Yourself. It's at techyourself.org. Kind of a silly name, but we actually really like it. And we made online courses. We made a 200-page book. We made visual representations. But what we were trying to do was to help women candidates and diverse candidates get ahead. And this was information they normally would have had to pay $100,000 for. And we plunked it in their laps and said, go. And I really think it helped. There are things that you don't even think of going into a campaign that are going to be utterly critical for you, like text message marketing, which mm-hmm. is now becoming more of a thing. Using proper data analytics to properly canvass your district, using social media mapping to know who everyone is connected to in your entire campaign, and then push messages out through their followings to more followings, on a local or a national level. This is all stuff you can do right now, but you just have to be using the right tools and have the right tech underpinning to make it work so you can, get over the line into a win.
Right. You deal with politics, but again, you are very diverse. I got actually the opportunity to meet you as you're recently supporting an amazing friend. Shout out to Miss Yvette Vargas, her Confessions. Oh. And one of your latest projects is with Entertainment. You're in the NFT, creating memberships, creating different tiers and opportunities for creatives trying to get their projects off the ground. In a minute, I know we got to get you out of here soon, but can you just talk really quickly on that venture and what's its mission and how's it going?
So we are really doing well, actually, considering the FTX fallout in the markets. A year ago, I started working with a team that wanted to build collaborative storytelling into NFTs. And we've gone ahead and created a platform, entertainment.com. And what I love about this part of me wanted to run for office right after 2020, but another part of me realizes I've got 11-year-olds, I've got a lot going on. It makes sense for me to fight the fight for voices to be heard in tech right now. So this is really an extension of my activist work, but the point of my work in entertainment is helping unheard voices be heard. So I think we've all seen, that there are 5 streamers that run our entertainment right now. Those 5 streamers essentially control almost everything that we watch. And those 5 streamers could get a lot more diverse than they are right now. And it's really a shame that they are not as connected to the communities that they, in some cases pretend to represent. What we're doing is we're building this Web3 model, and anyone that wants to can go see it, at entertainment.com. We're a full streamer, but we're allowing our creators to sell tickets into the making of their work. We're on the Ethereum chain, but you only need an email and a credit card to buy. We've made it very simple to engage with. So the reason this is important is it allows our creators to succeed with only a fan base. You don't need Netflix to decide on a Tuesday that you're exactly what they're looking for, because you never are, right? You actually can bypass the streamers who knows what that person's thinking anyway, and you can just go direct to your fan base and have them fund your show. And then what we do is we slap it up onto entertainment, but we can also flip it to Tubi or Pluto or any one of a number of other streamer partners. And so I think this will be steady state in 2025. This will be how we do our content creation, anything long form, right? That's longer than a TikTok. But I think it needs to be launched now. And I think what's important about it is that we're already seeing the diversity of our creator base is vast. I think 20% of our creators are white. And what we're hearing is all these voices that have been ignored for so long coming out of the woodwork going, haha, with this model, you can no longer ignore me. And it's terrific. Yeah. It's absolutely terrific. So we're excited, that it's working. And I would urge anyone on this call to go take a look at the tickets and support a creator, particularly a diverse one today on our site.
Something like this seems like a great solution, or an option at least, to try and get support from other people that want to support you in what you're doing as a creative.
Oh, girl, let's go. Yeah. Right after this, let's talk about it. I mean, we're doing a lot of mostly visual work right now. I'd say we're for long form video in our open beta testing at the moment, but we are moving pretty rapidly this summer into anything long form video, gaming, and AR, VR immersive. So let's talk. I think you would be brilliant running a live talk show on this and having like a visual audience, and not enough people are talking about these things. Right. So why not you, right? Yeah. Let's make it happen.
I love it. I love it. Well, listen, you have been phenomenal. I know you're about to jet set. Actually, I told you I'll miss you. I'll be in Paris in March 30th is when I leave. So I'll miss you.
Don't think this is normal, by the way. This is the first I've been overseas in like 5 years. I almost forgot my passport this morning.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Not nowadays. Well, I'm excited for you to go, and just I want to say thank you so much for being part of, what we're doing. And it's an honor and a privilege to know you and collaborate with you. And I definitely look forward to making some more magic with you in the future.
Oh, thanks, lady. You too. And good luck, and hang in there. We're all going to make it.
Yeah, I mean, heck yeah, man. I fought to be here in this life. I know you have, like you said, so it's amazing.
Oh, yeah. Let's make it count.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
For our audience, as we wrap up this interview with Genevieve Thiers, I'm left feeling inspired by her incredible journey. As an entrepreneur and as an advocate for women in tech, Genevieve's story is a testament to the power of determination and perseverance in the face of adversity, and her unwavering commitment to empowering women in all aspects of their lives is truly admirable. In a world where women still face unique challenges in the tech industry, Genevieve's message of the importance of emotional intelligence and resilience is more important than ever. She has shown us that with hard work, a clear vision, and a willingness to take risks, anyone can achieve their dreams. Thank you so much for joining us today and allowing Genevieve to share her insights and experiences with us. Her passion and dedication are an inspiration to us all, and we can't wait to see what else she achieves. Ladies and gentlemen, be sure to go to www.unsugarcoatedmedia.com to sign up for the newsletter, stay in the know of all the exciting things we've got going on. We'll see you next episode, and thank you so much for letting us be unsugarcoated. Take care.